I do realize that I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing, but I do realize that I didn't put out a video. That's okay, no pressure, right? Life is not about pressure. We do what we can when we can. But I was extremely busy, like extremely busy. Just, you know, like when you're focusing on something, you want to get something done. I needed to get some certain things done. I had some deadlines I had to meet. So I was really focused on that. Met my deadlines, gave myself a pat on the back as always, and this is a new week. I decided, I think for 2 days now I've been home. I think I get more work done outside of the house than in the house. So it feels good to be home in my office and just, you know, kind of just in my space, right? But it also feels good when I'm also outside too, because I get more work done. But I'm in my office. I've been at home for this. I think this is the third day. My smoothie here. This is the third day. But I was home because I had to cook a bunch of food because yeah, I had to cook a bunch of food, so I was home for that. Today was mostly like a work day, so I have to make a few things later. But today is just a work day. When I say work, my school coursework. Took my braids down. I think my braids have been down for a while, but getting ready to put braids back in. I washed and conditioned and stretched my hair, and thinking about doing a short hairstyle, like a bob kind of deal. You know, the old school one where you have the bob and then you burn the ends and you twist it. That's what I'm thinking about doing, but I don't know how that's gonna turn out, but that's what I'm thinking about doing. Also wanted to share some gardening tips as usual, but two things that I'm trying new this time around. I wanted to share that. We'll see if I share that. I don't know. Maybe in the next video. But yeah, this video, I think this video is short. I don't know if it is. When I edit, I'll find out if it is. But yeah, hope you guys are doing well as always. Actually, I wanted to touch on something. The epidemic of loneliness, right? There's this new study, there's a bunch, not a new study, but there's a bunch of doctors talking about how currently there's an epidemic of loneliness going around, which makes a lot of sense. I think social media has a huge role to play in that. That's first and foremost. But I also think the pandemic as well kind of just made it worse, right? So I feel it. I see the way people act outside too, and I know they're feeling it too as well. But it's this sense that you're like, you have a problem and you're the only one in the world that has that issue. There's a sense of isolation, I guess, where you feel like people don't have the capacity to deal with your problems anymore. I know for me, I am tapped out when it comes to compassion, my capacity for compassion. So my capacity for compassion is like tapped out. I'm at a certain level where I can't take any more of people's sorrows, any more of people's problems, because I'm tapped out. I'm already handling a number of people who have issues, and I don't feel like I have the capacity to handle anymore. So I find myself like just not necessarily not caring, but not involving myself too much in people's issues, because I can't really be there fully for them. So I don't even want to absorb your issue. I would be compassionate. I would be empathetic and show you, okay, I feel for you, but I can't take on your problems. Whereas before, I used to be able to like hear you out. Okay, let's figure out a solution. Let me actively call you, reach out to you, like actively like be involved in your betterment. Whereas now it's more like, I'll give you words of wisdom, I give you a solution, but I can't like call and involve myself in your issues. So that's where I am at now, and I feel like that's where people are at currently, because you get the sense that people are walking around with problems, but no one to share those problems with. And I'm a big advocate for therapy. I I like healing. I like healing. I like therapy. I like things that are going to make you better than what you are today. I love that. And I love figuring out the root of issues. So I feel like therapy goes to the root of issues, and then it allows you to then do the inner work that you need to do in order to heal. So I'm a big advocate for therapy. So in my, like, because my capacity is full, I am a big advocate for therapy. I'm just like, okay, I know I don't have the capacity to handle your issues, but you can find a therapist that can, because they're licensed to handle those issues. They're getting paid to handle those issues, and they have the tools to help you deal with those issues. I don't. But I do realize that not a lot of people have the resources for therapists, like money and all that stuff, technology and all that stuff. Even transportation to go to a therapist if you don't have technology in your house, you don't have Wi-Fi. I do realize there's a lot of barriers to getting a therapist. So for those who can't get a therapist, right? I'm a big advocate for journaling. Like, write down issues. I think by writing down your thoughts, your problems, your issues, you can kind of figure out a common thread and then kind of do self-work. Not a total self-work and healing yourself, but just kind of discover what triggers you to act certain ways or say certain things or feel certain ways. I think journaling will help if you can't afford a therapist. I would say another way that people who can afford therapists, right, can actually learn to manage their issues is by speaking to a trusted person. I was going to say family members or blah, blah, blah. It could be anybody, a trusted person. But going back to what I said in the beginning, where I feel like I feel like everybody's tapped out. Everybody is just, the capacity to like actually carry on other people's problems. It's no longer there. It's just, I feel like everybody's just tapped out, and the pandemic just skyrocketed that feeling. I skyrocketed that whole feeling of just feeling like you can't handle anymore. I know for me, I lost my dad in 2020, April 24th, 2020 to be exact. And I know after that I went into this period where I was totally like grieving, quiet. I wanted to be away from everybody, because I wanted to really sit in my feelings, my emotions. I wanted to sit in everything that I was feeling, and I wanted to heal completely. And I did that for a good amount of time. It was maybe too long. I don't know. There's no period of time for grief. So you grieve basically based on how long you are willing to grieve. It's whatever it takes for you to get out of that grief. That's how long it takes. So for me, it took me a while. When I got out of that grieving period, I still didn't want to go out in society because the pandemic was still there. You know, we were still dealing with that. And by the way, my dad passed away from COVID. So it was this sense that, oh my God, COVID took away my dad, and we're still in the process of dealing with COVID. And it's like, oh shoot, I don't want to go back out. I don't want to socialize. And because of the pandemic, you know, we were all isolated. We didn't want to go out and hang out with friends. We don't want friends over. So I think our current state as a society now, we're just, I would say for me, I can't speak for people, for me, I am learning now to just slowly get back out there, but I'm not totally there. And I feel like when I deal with other people, that whole like wall, or like I don't want to come close, or it's still there. So I think people are just like in their own bubble. I am just like, yeah, I'm tapped out. My capacity to care for, and I'm laughing because I never knew that I would get to this point, but my capacity to care for people is just, it's there, but like I'm like, I need to actually focus on myself, on my, like, part of keeping me sane to not take on too much of people's problems. I'm I'm learning that. So yeah, so it's hard because I think that's what's contributing to the loneliness people are feeling. But at the same time, I think people are now realizing that, hey, I can't take on too many of your problems because they become my problem, and then then I have a problem, and then it's like it's a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't want to get into that, but wanted to talk about that. And doctors were talking about how loneliness leads to health issues, and that rung a bell, because I'm like, okay, if it's just for the social aspect of things, I'm like, whatever, eventually make friends. But if loneliness is going to contribute to me having health issues, oh my gosh, I gotta actually actively seek out friendships, seek out socialization. Hope you guys are doing well. I guess that's why I asked that question and then jumped into this, but I really hope you guys are doing well. Like I said, if you don't have someone to talk to, get a journal, get a pen, write. I find that when I have a lot on my head and I write down, I feel a little better. And if you're a Christian, this is the biggest thing. If you're a Christian, let me not say if you're a Christian, if you have a relationship with Christ, that is the best thing. Put on some worship music, pray, talk to God. I guarantee you that always helps. The worship music in itself always helps. The devotional, reading your word, also helps. I'm so happy with myself. I've now trained myself. I say train because I usually it's like whenever I have time, but I've trained myself to read the Bible when I wake up. Meaning I have a devotional, I read the devotional and I read a verse attributed to that devotional. And on the side, I'm choosing to also, I train myself to also really read the Bible to understand who God is. Like, not just who people say God is, but to really understand who God is. And I remember praying this like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where I said, God, I don't want to cry. I was crying when I remember like stuff like this, but I was saying God, because there was a moment in my life when I was younger. Oh my God, when I tell you, I used to hear from God like it was just like a friend sitting right next to me, just telling me things. I used to hear from God so audibly and so clear. It could be in the reading of the words, and like when I meet somebody and he tells me something about somebody that there's no way I would know without talking to that person, but he tells me and then I find out that thing is real. I used to hear him so audibly. Even when reading his word, the Bible, I used to just hear him explaining things to me. And I was like, okay, like you hear your voice, but then you hear another voice whisper. And it was like, I'm like, okay, I know that's not me because I hear myself, in my head. But there's another voice on top of that. I can't explain it. When you have a relationship with Christ, you kind of understand what I'm saying. But I prayed about 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, God, I want to go back to that person I was before. That person that knew your voice, knew like how to be obedient. And I want to hear that again. So I am currently reading through the book of Exodus right now, about the Israelites and basically how God delivered them from Egypt, right? And the whole Pharaoh, remember the Pharaoh and how the sea was divided. It's all in the book of Exodus. So I'm reading the book of Exodus. There was a part in Exodus where God was like, Moses, this is what I want you to do, blah, blah. And Moses goes, well, God, I don't think I can't speak well. I just made an excuse, and God said, no, I'll send Aaron with you, and you can go and do this, but I really need you to, in essence, I'm paraphrasing, but he sent them on a mission, right, to free the people of Israel from Egypt, from Pharaoh's hand. And I remember the night he was supposed to return back to Egypt. Exodus 4, verse 24 to 26. So I was reading Exodus 4, verse 24 to 26. Please read it. But it was the part where I was confused by when God sent Moses on a mission, told him to do this. Okay, Moses said, okay, cool, I oblige, I'll go. So he finally went, but before returning to Egypt, he slept over, right? He stopped at a town. Yeah, he stopped at a place. So he stopped at a place where, on his way to Egypt, and decided to sleep the night, right? And so God decided then that he's going to kill Moses. And his wife, Moses' wife, circumcised his son, and because of the circumcision of his son, God saved Moses. God changed his mind about killing Moses. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, wait, I'm confused by that. God chose Moses to deliver the people of Israel from Egypt, but then he decided to kill him. He decides to kill him, but then saves his life because Moses' wife circumcised their son. So I was like, God, I need clarity in this. I remember I told you before this, I was like, God, I need to hear your voice. I need clarity in this. And so just reading over and over, God loves you. He sent you on a mission. He chose you. And he can understand in the same breath, he can also like decide, I don't want to use you. I'm going to kill you. And so the whole thing about disobedience came into the whole thing. Disobedience, because you had to be circumcised, right? And because Moses' son wasn't circumcised, right? God was like, okay, I'm sending you on this. And this is me trying to understand. I'm not a preacher. I'm not anything. This is just me, my process, trying to understand why God was trying to kill somebody that he chose to deliver the people of Israel out of Egypt. Like, I was trying to understand it. And the whole thing about disobedience came into play. But like, his son wasn't circumcised, right? And because his son wasn't circumcised, God was like, well, you're being disobedient to me because your son is like the Egyptians, right? They didn't believe in circumcision and blah, blah, blah. And so, again, this is me trying to, I'm not a philosopher or anything. I'm just trying to understand this. But the whole point of disobedience came in, and I was like, oh, okay. God spoke to me. It's like, okay, you can be my follower. But if you're walking in disobedience, are you really my follower? Because you know the truth, but you're choosing not to abide by the truth. So yes, it's kind of like you're living a double life. And he can't use somebody who's living a double life. You have to be all for him, or you can just go ahead and be of the world. What I'm trying to do now is to read the Bible to understand who God is. So I want to just read the Bible as if I'm trying to learn my creator. So that's my approach in reading the Bible nowadays. But I just want God to speak to me as I read. I think my mom gave me this great advice too when I was questioning about Exodus 4. She said this: whenever you're reading the Bible and you're unsure about something, just ask the Lord to speak to you. Lord, please, what is it that you're trying to tell me here? Please give me understanding. Like, what is it that you're trying to tell me here? But all this to say, let's go back to all this. If you have a relationship with Christ during this time, if you can't afford a therapist, if you don't like journaling, pray. Put on worship music, worship God. And you'll find that as you do this, something is lifted. You will automatically, I guarantee you automatically feel peaceful. I don't know how to explain it, but it just comes with a relationship with Christ. But yeah, just didn't want to preach on you guys, but I love knowing who Christ is. I love I love having a relationship with Christ, because it brings me so much peace. Like, truly, I never used to understand why my mom was like God is my everything, God. And I never used to understand that, but now I do. I realize that without God, there's no peace. There's actually no peace. There's confusion, rather, there's chaos. So I've learned to just trust, look to God, and just hold on to him as tight as I can, because I have nobody else to hold on to. I realized to just put my everything in God, right? And then everything else will fall into place. But yeah, didn't mean to preach, but I preached. It's okay. Hopefully this video was helpful, touched you in some kind of way. I think I will end the video here. I wanted to show you guys, I have to garden. I'd like to share garden tips with you guys. Again, I always say, if you haven't gardened, or if you have started your garden, just start a little pot of plant, of seed, or whatever. Just plant something, just see how peaceful that will make you feel. But so I guess to say this, I want to end the video here. I think it's long, so I'm going to end the video here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, I hope you're having a great day. If you're not, it's okay. Always remember this too shall pass. Until my next video, guys, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.